The Boeing situation just got even stranger as the first Boeing whistleblower to be found dead within his car from self-inflicted wounds was also found with a note. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, because the note has been deemed eerie and completely changes the dynamic of this entire situation. Before we get into it though, I'm going to catch you up if you don't know about the whistleblowing situation already. So the first one we're going to be talking about is John Barnett, who of course was the first whistleblower who was about to testify against Boeing, but on the day of his testifying and presenting of information, he was found dead in his car. There was a video posted that basically summarizes this beautifully and kind of gets you caught up to speed. So we're going to check that out first.
Just when you thought flights this year couldn't get any crazier, a former Boeing employee who was giving evidence in a whistleblower lawsuit against the company was found dead yesterday from a self-inflicted wound. You see, John Barnett had worked as a quality manager for Boeing for 32 years, but after he retired in 2017, he embarked on long-running legal action against the company, accusing them of many shocking things, but just some include cutting corners and rushing the construction of their planes, and deliberately fitting substandard parts that compromised safety.
Now, what is not included within this, but has come out since from John himself, is that regulative bodies would come round to obviously inspect the work being done on the planes to make sure that it's being done by the book. And when they found parts that were deemed to be subpar, they were told to throw them away. So the workers did exactly that. They threw them into bins. When these regulative bodies left, the workers were told by the management to get those parts back from the bins and fit them onto the planes so that they could meet supply demand. And that's exactly how deep this runs. That's how bad the parts truly were, that they literally were quoted as taking them out of bins and putting them back onto the planes before redistributing them to the airlines. Yeah, that's how bad it is.
If you've been watching my channel at all this year, you know that there are no shortages of faulty Boeing planes right now. Al Jazeera even made a documentary in 2014 where they got a Boeing employee to go undercover and ask his colleagues if they would fly on the planes that they were building. And out of 15 people, 10 said no. A lot of people don't realize that Boeing is not just an airplane manufacturer. They also sell satellites, rockets, and even weapons like missiles and military aircraft worldwide. They are the 4th largest defense contractor in the world, and they are the single largest exporter in the entire USA by dollar value. Protesters even tried to block Boeing facilities supplying weapons to Israel in November. Anyway, tangent aside, John accused the company of denigrating his character and hampering his career because of the issues he pointed out. And then, just last week, he gave a formal deposition in which he was questioned by Boeing's lawyers, and he had been due to undergo further questioning on Saturday. But when he didn't turn up, inquiries were made and he was subsequently found dead in his truck in his hotel car park. Boeing commented, saying that it was saddened to hear of Mr. Barnett's passing.
Now, that is the story so far for John Barnett. Now, John obviously he retired from Boeing back in 2017, and from the moment that he left, he started filing lawsuits against Boeing to try and expose these horrific things that were going on, including staff being overworked and underpaid, incredibly poor management, and again, subpar parts being used to manufacture their aeroplanes. But John wasn't the only whistleblower that was due to testify against the company that was found passed away, as a second whistleblower had also tried to come forward to expose the company for their dodgy misdoings. And again, they were found dead before they were able to testify against the company. And here is a report on that whistleblower as well.
Another Boeing whistleblower dead after contracting a mysterious infection. Senior national correspondent Kevin Cork has details.
Jesse, it's happened again. Joshua Dean, a former quality auditor who sounded the alarm about a supplier who'd been ignoring defects in the production of Boeing's 737 MAX jets, is dead. And what's more, he is now the second whistleblower to die not long after disclosing problems involving Boeing. Dean's aunt says he went to a hospital in Wichita after experiencing breathing difficulties. And during his stay, he allegedly developed MRSA, pneumonia, needed to be intubated. Shortly thereafter, he died suddenly. Now, you may recall it was just a couple of months ago, back in March, another Boeing whistleblower, John Barnett, took his own life in the midst of a legal battle with Boeing. His team manufactured the door plug that blew out midair on an Alaska Airlines flight back in January. Shortly thereafter, he told the Wall Street Journal he was fired because he simply pointed out that the holes were drilled in the wrong spot on the fuselage, something his employer vigorously denied. In February, he also told NPR he thought Boeing was sending a message that if you're too loud, we'll simply silence you. And to add to the growing number of very interesting questions about this case, both deceased whistleblowers were represented by the very same South Carolina law firm. Don't know what to make of that, Jesse.
Now, that's obviously an interesting point to make at the end there, but does it add to this? Potentially, you know, it does add fuel to the fire. But shortly after this, both of these whistleblowers were found deceased. The CEO of Boeing decided that he was going to step down at the end of the year. Not instantly, because of course that would be way too suspicious. But up until now, I have believed that John Barnett's passing has been due down to a hit job from Boeing. I did not believe initially that this was self-inflicted, but after this eerie letter or note that was found with John's body, I'm starting to think that I was wrong initially. And I'll tell you why in just a moment. So, the Boeing whistleblower who was found dead in the car park sprawled his final frenzied words denouncing the air travel giant in his notebook. John Barnett's body was found inside his Dodge Ram on March 9th, on the same day that he was due to testify against Boeing. The 67-year-old was found with a note on his passenger seat that read, F Boeing, outside a Holiday Inn just days after first testifying in a bombshell lawsuit against the plane production company. The note slammed Boeing continued, America, come together or die. I pray for the mother effers that destroyed my life. I pray Boeing pays. Bury me face down so Boeing and their lying ass leaders can kiss my ass. Okay? And this was the actual note that was found. So you can see, America, come together or die. Pray the motherfuckers that ruined my life pay. Or he scribbled out ruined and wrote destroyed. I pray Boeing pays. Bury me face down. Obviously, we've seen that. To my family and friends, I found my purpose. I'm at peace. I love you more. I'm not sure what this says here, but then up here it says, P.S. The entire system for whistleblowers is effed up too. Okay, I think that's what that says. But this is only the first part of the note. Now, John's mother told investigators that her son would often make these remarks. John then appeared to say that whistleblowers are not offered enough protection, which absolutely I completely agree with. And he also wrote that he wasn't stoned when I wrote this, really. Now, authorities have authenticated the handwriting as John's, and only his fingerprints were found on the notebook. A coroner has now said that John's death is best deemed a word that I'm not allowed to say for YouTube TOS, after the Charleston Police Department concluded he died of self-inflicted gunshot wound. This is the second part of the letter that was found. So you can see, I think this is the reverse of the initial one, but you can see that it says, America, come together or die. I can't do this any longer. Enough. F Boeing, family and friends, I love you all. And I wasn't stoned when I wrote this, really. Whistleblowers protection is effed up too. And then it says Trump 2024. Now, John worked at Boeing for 32 years until his retirement in 2017, and in the days before his death, he had been given evidence in a lawsuit. He gave a formal deposition and was questioned by Boeing's lawyers before being cross-examined by his own counsel. Now, of course, Boeing haven't really spoken about the situation, only stating that, of course, they were saddened by his death. That was the only official statement that they've given. But remember when I said that the CEO of Boeing was going to be stepping down at the end of the year? Well, Dave Calhoun, who is the CEO, was re-elected to stay at the company's board on Friday, 17th of May, the same day that the investigation into this whistleblower's passing concluded, and the same day that this letter came out. Even though he had claimed that he was gathering feedback from customers to find a new chief executive. Very interesting that the day that their Boeing is, basically put under the hammer after this whistleblower passes away, he says that he's going to be stepping down at the end of the year. And then the day that the investigation into the whistleblower concludes, he's then suddenly re-elected to stay at the company's head. Very suspicious. But I did say earlier that this changes my thought process. And the reason for that, obviously up until this point, I have undoubtedly believed that John's sad passing was absolutely some kind of hit job from Boeing. Is there proof of that? No. I can't say it for certain. But, you know, if you put the pieces together, it's not as, you know, like, you don't beat around the bush with it. But I'm now starting to think that this was, in fact, self-inflicted. And the reason I think it was because obviously John was trying to take down the company ever since he retired back in 2017. Obviously, he was due to testify, and I think he was well aware that should he pass away in strange and mysterious circumstances on the day that he's due to testify, of course people are going to come looking for him. It's going to make global news that this Boeing whistleblower has been found dead. I do think that this could possibly be self-inflicted, but to try and project this story forwards, because of course John was hugely trying to protest against the company, and you know, what bigger way to kind of put this into the public spotlight than something as big as this? All right. I can't say for certain that that is the case. That's just my thought process now. Obviously, you know, it has a greater impact, a whistleblower suddenly dying on the day that he's due to testify, as opposed to him just testifying, because it brings the company into even more disrepute. So that's just my thought process. Of course, I cannot speak about the second whistleblower because that's still a very suspicious one. Obviously, contracting an illness suddenly and then moments later or days later passing away again before he's due to testify. That's suspicious. But John's, I think, is a little bit less suspicious now and more of a statement, which, you know, maybe you disagree with me. Let me know if you do down in the comments below why you disagree. But that's just my 50 pence on it. But what do you guys think? Let me know what you think. And until next time, I'll speak to you later. Peace.